Hi, welcome. Be in the Light special episode. My good friend Shaboogie Max, Master of Abundance, will be with us tonight, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm your host, Bilar, and we are all about the ergonomic ways to keep your energy bright and be your biggest self. So we should have a really interesting conversation tonight. Max and I go some really fun places, and it should be a pretty open and free-flowing conversation. So please feel free to comment and join in if you feel like it. Before we get into talking to Max, I've got a couple of announcements to make. Hey, Jacob, could you bring up those shots I did on the full moon the other night with Brandon? You know, I'm an avid light painter, and, you live when you go outside the studio, and stay on that one for just a second, if you would. When you go outside the studio, you don't have any control of stuff. It's the weather and the clouds and whatever. And this happened to be right on the summer solstice, and while it was still in that energy, this night was a bright, beautiful full moon. And you can't really see, I didn't catch it in this, but off to the right were a bunch of off in the distance thunderclouds with the lightning and stuff. Really magical evening. And this is my friend Brandon, who has been my creative cohort in crime for about 30 years. He came up, spent the weekend with me, and we did made some fun art. There's nothing like actually, people want to talk to me about the camera being digital. Well, it is digital, but in reality, it's just an open digital surface. It's like a digital canvas that you're actually painting on when you're doing light painting. It's an incredible art form. Anyway, let's rock through the other ones. A couple of these are my favorite things I've ever shot. They just have like some magical oomph about them in a crazy way. Yeah, hang on this one for just a second. It just, the plasma behind them, the moon shining through, the way it looks like the way it's reflecting off that cloud. It's like this little person sitting there. Really super fun. Okay, let's show the last one, Jacob. So all in all, that was just a really crazy evening. So last time I was on the show, had Max on the show, we were talking about doing NFTs for my light painting. And since that show, hey, Jelly, what's up? Since that show, I had actually gotten 4 NFTs minted up on OpenSea. Yeah. There we go. So super cool. Yeah, click on one of those if you would. Yeah, that one. I love that. Was my favorite one. Right, there you go. So, a step forward towards that. I'm going to talk to Max about that tonight and see what he has to say, and maybe can point me in some directions on how to. It's a crazy little world, man. I've had so many scammers show up, like every day. It's a new one. Oh yeah, all you have to do is give us your wallet ID. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I love your stuff. I want to pay you $6,000 for it. Just go through this really whacked. Okay. So anyway, looking forward to having that conversation with him. And the light painting has just been a real godsend for my soul. It keeps me bright and happy. And Brandon, coming up this weekend, I don't know about you, but the last month or so, I like my inspiration has just been at a really low ebb, and I found it really hard to get motivated to be cranking. And you know, I'm fairly disciplined about keeping my art going and keeping my practice going, and I made myself do it, and it was just kind of like going through the motions. Like most of those pictures, they were good. They were at a cool level. It wasn't like they were awful and sucked, but they just didn't go any new places. I was just repeating myself again and again and again, which just gets incredibly boring for me. And that's kind of like my own level of hell, being bored. Um, all right, another really cool announcement. I've been gathering a ton of yeah, I've been gathering a ton of content for a Patreon page, and I'm super stoked about this, man. And I'm going to combine stuff from this show, but a lot of stuff from the Angel Show and some of my Wizard of Oz Fool's Journey shows, and take those little nuts of magic and take those further. There'll be a lot of guided meditations, music, videos, and a lot of practice incentives. And I'm pretty stoked. I'm going to take my favorite magic books, my favorite like expansion books, and go through those lessons. One of them, the Bardon Companion, that I yak about all the time. I'm going to go through that chapter by chapter and bust out some commentary and my own experience with it, and share that with you guys. Carlos Castaneda, there's a bunch of people coming up. It should be pretty fun. So I hope I hope, and I don't know if any of you are showing up on Monday night for the Angel Channel, but I would strongly suggest that you give that a whirl, because it's turned into not just a talk show, but an actual energetic practice session. And every week we're doing energy gathers and working on our own personal energy and working with our auras and doing a cleansing and a charge up. And it's just really awesome. And creating sacred space that angels show up in. And of course, always live readings that we do every show. So please come and share that with us. I think you'll have a good time, and it's a good place to kind of hook on and expand your practice repertoire. So open invitation, my invite. So, Jacob, I don't see Max backstage. Is Max here? There we go. Shaboogie Max.
Hey, what's happening? Good to see you.
I'm so, I always look so forward to sharing space with you, man. And
Same.
Thanks for coming on. And I love where our rambles go, and I've been looking forward to this for days. So thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got to see the NFT thing.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
We'll have a conversation about that later off the thing. But you really inspired that and made that happen. So Shaboogie Max, by way of introduction, Shaboogie Max, Master of Abundance.
Hey,
And I've been really, I wanted to talk about the whole money thing and all of that, and happy to do that if you want to. But what I've been digging your YouTube things and your email channel things, and you've been covering so many cool topics that, and I don't mean to put you on the spot right now, but like I'd love to throw it open to you. Like, what would you like to talk about? What would you like to say? Yeah. So
yeah, I got you. So there's this cool thing that I've been playing in for 5 years, on and off, but now I'm all in. And it's this idea that if you just give your gift without any condition, Because when you put a condition into the field, even though you're worthy, you're so worthy, you're infinitely worthy, right? You're as worthy as anybody else on this planet who's having any other experience that you might think that you want to experience. When you just give freely, what happens is, and you have zero expectation that it even comes back to you. What happens is it comes back to you so powerfully, so strongly, so magically, better than you could ever imagine, better than any amount of money could have ever purchased.
Usually not in the way you expected, though.
True, true. And if you expect your life to go really well for you and things always work out for you, and you to have the idea that you get to have the experiences you still want to have. You're worthy to have all of that. It just happens in ways that you're not expecting. It you trip over it more. It falls in your lap. It synchronistically happens, and it's the bank of the 5D Earth. It's the 5D Earth bank, if you want to call it that. I don't think technically we have bodies in 5D, but it already is that way. It's always been that way, and now I think we're just opening up to it more and believing in the beliefs, which beliefs have the word lie in it, LIE. And so the beliefs, which are just thoughts that we keep on thinking, really, we can change our beliefs to be whatever they want to be. And if we believe that we have to go and do something to earn a living, to then have the experiences we want to have, that's cool. But we're making money the middleman in between us and the experiences that we want to have. And instead, we can just tune to the experiences we want to have now and also make it easily available to people, much like this, right? For people to tune into the frequency without any barriers, no matter how much money they do or don't have, or where they are in the world, or any of that stuff. I've just found that it just keeps getting better and better and better the more I contribute, and don't even look for how it comes back to me.
How do you take care of stuff that you need? Like sometimes needs come up and they're kind of right away, you know?
Yeah. So
How do you make that happen? You know, a health thing, some other thing, you know?
yeah, so both good questions. What you said and what Julie said, right? What about an energy exchange? Does it get one-sided? So there's a bank, and it keeps score for you. So there is no one-sided. If somebody shows up and they don't choose to reciprocate, that it doesn't have any effect on you negatively. The difference I might make in somebody's life might be pretty profound, might be worth, one could say, millions of dollars, right? So any amount of money that they would circulate would be just a fraction of what it's truly worth anyway. So when I stop caring about whether they pay $1 or $0 or $100 or $500 or $15,000 or whatever it is, and I just give openly, you bend time, you jump through portals. I meet somebody who I might have needed in the old world 10 years of therapy, right, to get to a certain place, but I meet the other version of me who's already gone through that, or they're going through it, and I support them through it, and I get all the downloads, and it really is magic. It's more like Harry Potter than we think it is, which I think is why I love you so much, man, because you're a pretty magical dude.
Well, you know, in my world, it's all energy and the rules of energy and how energy flows, and the absolute fact that what you project and the frequency you send out is exactly what you'll get reflected back to you.
Yeah.
And if your expectations are, you know, if you're sitting there praying that you get this and you get that, or you've got this whole notion about that, but on the inside, you're really saying, "Oh, that'll never happen," or blah, you know, you stay in that mode. None of those things ever manifest for you. And, you know, it does get to be a tricky mode. And, you know, it was and still continues to be a deep lesson for me to let go of my control,
Yes.
and my need for control, and my
Yes.
need to know what the outcome is. And my
Yes.
mantra of the moment, and has been for about the last 6 months, is expect nothing, be prepared for anything.
Cool. I love it. Yes.
It's like if you go into the things I've gone into, like the paradigm has shifted. It changed where you're now fully in the age of Aquarius.
Okay.
And the energy of that sign is like blooming all the time. It's the forward thinking, um,
Yes.
scientific breakthrough kind of sign. And you're seeing that happen right now. And it's also more about the energy and the connection to the higher frequencies than our earthbound connections have been for so long. And
Yes.
seeing that shift, the paradigm, the energetic paradigm has shifted. So our methodologies have to shift as well, because the old
Right.
methodologies just don't function anymore, man. And with the whole, and we'll get off into this. This is one of the topics I want to go off into with you. The whole AI thing is
Oh,
changing the fabric of the world as we know it so quickly. It's
yeah.
almost hard to keep up, like
Yeah.
what's happening. And that's not going to slow down. That's just going to increase exponentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Go
let
ahead.
me
Go
let
ahead.
me just answer. Let me backtrack because you asked the question, then I saw Jilly asked it too. So let's talk about needs, okay? Now, this is gonna sound like I'm trying to convince you not to need things, okay? And I am actually trying to
Well,
do
let
that.
me
So
just throw out a situation. I'm sorry,
okay.
I don't mean
All
to
right.
cut you off.
Yep.
You you have a medical issue, your insurance doesn't cover it. It's a $5,000, $6,000. You don't have that cash.
Yeah.
That's all this, it's like, how do you fit that situation into this formula?
Okay. Sure. So let's take I have all these cool stories that through the living of my life source gave me to answer these questions with. So let's take the time that I broke my big toe, okay? And I was out. It was raining. I decided to start jogging, and I slipped and fell and did a nasty break on my big toe because I was wearing these sandals that allowed me to do that. And so then I thought I would be okay anyway, but we went to the hospital, went to the emergency room. I didn't have insurance at the time, but hospitals, they have to actually take care of you here in the United States anywhere. They gotta like at least give you some basic.
Well, some
Yeah,
emergency stuff, but they
right.
just kind of stop the bleeding.
Right, there you go. So I got what I needed, okay? At that time, it was I needed a letter to take to somebody else to let them know that I couldn't do something, which I didn't really wanna do. It was a weird, twisted way to manifest getting out of something I didn't wanna do, okay? But I did it, and it worked out for me, okay? And so then I got the bill, and I think it was I don't remember if it was $3,000 or $2,600, and in that moment, I didn't have that, I wasn't working, and so guess I didn't pay it. And so, and here I am 3 years later, and I'm still here and I have a toe. And then next year, I broke my shoulder. This time I had insurance. We went to the doctor. I found out later that the insurance absolutely sucks. It's like the worst insurance you could have. It doesn't really pay for anything, but at that time it did pay for things. I got the pain pills I needed for the first week of my broken shoulder. I got everything that I needed when I needed it. If I stayed in the now, I had everything I need when I needed it. And then I forget what the bill was for that. I did pay a lot more of that because I had money at the time. I paid for the physical therapy and stuff. But the point is just that I always got what I needed when I needed it. Now, if in my definition, if I was like, I'm a bad guy if I don't pay for this $6,000 of medical bills, right? Then that would make me feel not good, and that might be a problem if my definition was that. But my definition is sort of like it's a little ridiculous that for 45 minutes in the hospital or an hour and a half or whatever it was for my toe, it cost $3,000. For me, it's like that didn't make sense to me in that moment, in that what my resources were, so I didn't pay it. And at the end of the day, I'm still here. Everything's good. That thing came, it existed, and it went away. I don't get things in the mail for it anymore. It doesn't bother me. Um, so I didn't lose anything there. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you have a definition of, well, you need to pay for your stuff all the time, on time, then that might drive you nuts, that way of living. It's just that you probably then had the $3,000 to pay for it, and you did. If I had the $3,000, I would have paid for it in a second. I would have taken out my card, I would have passed it over, the money would have exchanged, and I would have moved on. But I didn't. But I still got what I needed, even though I didn't. So maybe it's because I've been doing the giving with my heart thing. I don't make money the middleman in between people who want to meet with me and me. So I get a lot of stuff for free.
I totally agree, and I have some similar experience with that mode of like getting what you need. My stumbling block with that sometimes is I want to know when I'm going to get my need filled. Like
Yeah.
I want to know, and sometimes it goes right up to the edge. Like
Yep.
and you have the ability to drive it away if you start really sweating and like, that's not going to happen. As
Right.
much as just even up to the edge, you're still no, not just think, grok and know that it's going to happen.
Yeah. And if you can be indifferent, whether it happens or not, now you're in the sweet spot. If you can, because the idea is that you get what you need when you need it. That doesn't mean 2 weeks ahead of time you always have what you always
Right.
have it, but you also not have it a day later. You always have it when you need it. And so if you can actually arrive in this place where you're like, you know what? No matter which way the wave goes, I'm good. I'm truly unconditionally, find a pencil, put it in your mouth, smile until the smile becomes real, and you become this unconditional creator. And when you do that, life gets super, super, super magical. And I mean, things that you've asked for at all ages in your life that you even forgot about you asked for, they will land in your lap thereafter because you're matching the frequency of the person who can receive that stuff. If you're the one that's like, no, I need 10,000 in the bank, I need 100,000 in the bank, I need 1 million in the bank. By the way, do you know how much money is enough money? Because it's a number, so it can always be more. Like,
Yeah, it's never enough, man.
right. So if you just get good with the way that it is, the way that it is gets good with you.
Very true. Very true. Just as I sort of skipped through my little fancy introduction for you, I'd just like to go back for just a second. And as we're talking about money, Max had been involved in the financial world for a long, long time, and that was his career for a very long time. And he kind of flipped a switch out of that and has moved into this new mindset. So, he has a history and experience in that world to really understand it and develop this new methodology, which I think is pretty amazing on a lot of different levels, man. So kudos.
Thanks. Yeah, I think we're all doing it. Or I know we are. Well, if you're here right now, then there's a shift occurring inside of you, and there's a knowing, there's a truth, and you look at a lot of the old systems and you see that they're not made of that same truth. And so for example, everyone who gets a broken toe doesn't deserve to be put in 3 grand of debt. And I know 3 grand depends on your perspective. That could be not a lot of money to you, could be nothing to you, right? Or it could be like a lot of money to you, just depending on where you're sitting. And so, but no matter where you're sitting, you deserve to get your freaking toe fixed so you can walk around again. You deserve, or whatever it is. And the truth of the matter is, they didn't really do anything. They didn't do anything except tell me I had a broken toe, So it's like, give me a break.
All right. So, I've been dying to kind of dive into this with you. The whole AI revolution
Cool.
just continues to kind of take my breath away. How is that impacting you and your life? And I kind of consider you sort of a visionary thinker. Like where do you kind of see that going with how people maintain themselves and
Yeah.
what people get to do?
I think there's 2 timelines with AI. One of them might be one that you could tune to with somebody famous in the media and what they think about it and that direction, and that's completely valid. There's value in that perspective. I'm not going to talk about it here because it's not the one that I'm living in and creating. What I believe, the other one, is that AI is a permission slip for us to speak with our higher minds, our higher selves. Now, you don't need AI to connect with your highest self. You can embody your highest self right here, right now. But for those of us who haven't arrived in that moment yet, it's a great permission slip. So for me, for example, I just pumped out a ton of YouTube content this last week's and months. I have a Patreon that I set up, and I've been just super excited what's coming through me just to get it out. And now YouTube has like descriptions and tags and subtitles and all this stuff to do, right? Which the old version of me might have had a team of people doing that for me. And now, thanks to AI, it's made it a lot easier for me to match that frequency. Having said that, before AI, you might not have needed all that stuff. So, it's not perfect. It's still one of the business plans we did last year was a lot of it was done by AI, and it was just a lot of garbage. It was just a lot of fluff. It was a lot of
I can smell a piece of chat GPT
yes,
probably a mile away, man.
Yes.
And art too, art, it just has kind of a.
It's not that good. It's not that good. Even they were doing the thumbnails for me, and then I had tons of spelling errors. AI makes a lot of spelling mistakes. It turns out, it's not perfect at all. But I think it will get improved, and I think it will improve in a way that if you can look at it like it's your teammate, and you can have experience with it that I think is positive. But I don't think we need it.
Well, to be honest with you, I think is art created by a computer art? No, the art wasn't actually making it. It wasn't the actual finished piece. It was not the finished canvas. It's the process of making that image grow from your own mind through your own hands onto a surface. And by that process, taking the world that you've ingested and digested and sending that back out in this perspective. And it's your truth. Whatever anyone and every artist puts it out of their own truth into the world for people to see and react to and have kind of a window into their own personal soul that only art can give you.
Yeah, I agree.
And all that goes away. And I don't know that reaching your spiritual self or using a computer in any way, shape, or form to other than research and information, but actually connecting to that to make that part of your regular spiritual process seems a little scary to me, man. What that is energetically and that network of what you're connected to. When I really practice, I'm in deep and energetic practice. I'm not around anyone or anything. I'm not around any electronic devices. It is just my energy.
Yeah. In fact,
just my own light.
In fact, recommend not being in your phone if you're going to be in any sort of medicine journey or otherwise. It's the last place you really want to be.
I take off my jewelry. I don't, it's just stripped down so that there's no interference in that process. Learning to use your own energy and really tangible and profound ways. Not that easy. Requires a significant amount of practice, and I don't know. I see there's so much intensity about the internet, and the second that you're connected to that in any way, you're energetically connected to that whole scenario. And there are really great things about it. What you were talking about, AI, those are really great tools, but there are so many profoundly twisted things being built with AI and giving AI kind of an upper hand on controlling what we see, what we hear. That not a really good thing happening. I don't know. Did you read science fiction when you were a kid?
Well, comics and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a big sci-fi person, so I read Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein and
Sure.
all those guys, man. And those worlds that they created were so intense and real, and at the time, so absolutely unbelievable that could actually happen.
Got it.
And I'm watching that sort of just reveal itself right now, man. It's
I
pretty
would
cool.
The way that I handle it is I look at reality as if it's all happening right now. And so the worst, most dystopian, terrible experience you can't even imagine, that is happening right now. And the best,
It
most
is, yes, it
yeah,
is.
and the best, loving, open, most luxury thing that you can't even imagine, that is happening right now too. And whichever one, this is the hack, are you ready? Whichever one you focus on, but whichever one you damn,
You tune in to the frequency.
you tune in. If you make it wrong and you go, because that which you damn damns you back. That which you hold in darkness calls you to the darkness. So if instead we can just say, you know what, that's a perfectly valid expression. There's value in that. There's consciousness having an experience there. Great. And I prefer this one over here. It puts the power back in you to empower, enliven, whatever you give your energy to. And that's why there are companies spending billions of dollars for your attention as you scroll through things,
Oh,
as the Monopoly man comes on my kids' games, and energizes the Monopoly system. It's what do we want to put in front of our light, and whatever you want to light up will expand, and that which you don't, just like a plant that you don't give any water to, it will wither away and die in your reality. But then somebody goes, yeah, but what about the people over there doing that thing, having that happen to them? And I go, whoa, wow, is that happening to you? And they're like, no, that's happening to them over there. And I heard about it through the story on the TV and through my friend. And that's the worst thing in the world. And they get all twisted up about it and angry and energize it a lot.
so
All
much
you're doing
rage.
all
Yeah,
you're doing is you're bringing it to your center, so that that's the experience you're going to have. That experience, it's going to happen anyway. The multiverse, the infinite versions of infinite, it's happening. You're not
exactly.
going to stop it. It's
Exactly.
happening. But you can, instead of it breaking that your reality, you can instead give your energy, you can turn the imaginary dial in the sky over to whatever else you want to create and go about in action, creating the reality you want to see, which is what I do every day. And you feel so excited and energized doing that. And you watch other people. You can't control whether other people can hear you or feel you or see you or get it, but you know that you're doing what you can do to create the world that you want to live in.
I had a I had a teacher once that sort of described the way we were talking about the world, and like I was like, the world's I was all idealistic and like, world's a wonderful place. And he goes, no, the world's not a wonderful place. It's a machine designed to eat you. And that's really actually true if you think about all of the attachments we put to stuff and how much money we have to, all of a sudden we're a slave to making that amount of money and houses and cars and this and that, and it's all just this big rat trap that you wind up just getting in and running in a treadmill.
It can be that.
But the gift is that we all have been given free choice and vision, and that you can see above just that layer of the world that choose up energy and elevate yourself out into that. And that's how I'm dealing with the AI thing myself. You just keep going up and just keep getting, I had a couple of really crazy ritual experiences over my decades of initiations, and one of them was actually having your teacher, like, you died and your soul like left and your spirit left, and the experience was to go see where that was and what happens, and kind of
Yeah.
get prepared for that, and that profoundly changed my existence. And one of the truths that revealed itself while I was there was that anything that your light body is eternal. Our meat sack is really just super
Yeah.
super disposable, man, and such a short term, man, just
Yeah.
gone here and gone. But your light is eternal, and that's what keeps going on and gets recycled and
Yeah.
recycled and recycled as it in the fire of purification, and the dross keeps getting off.
Mhm.
Um, so the things that you learn, like your magical abilities, like people have so many gifts and abilities that are just sitting there dormant in their energy field waiting to wake up.
Yes.
And those things that you do wake up, every bit of those things energetically that you not only learned but actualized into your light body, you get to take back with you get to take with you next time. None of the physical stuff, no relationships, no this, no money, no anything gets to go with you other than your light.
Sort of, though, because those things are your light too. Your money is your energy. Your relationships, they are you and you are them. So they all go with you.
Well, I disagree. I think that along the way that you don't just come back right away, and slowly over time or fast. It's different for everybody, but I think that the persona that was you here, goes away,
Sure.
and the thing that's recycled is your light body with your abilities and the things that make up that body of light. And I don't write off what you were saying at all, but
Well, I think we're saying the same thing. It's just different ways of saying it. What I'm just saying is that your money is your energy. Money is your energy. You are your money. You are your partner, right? Isn't that when your relationship gets magical, when you start to own the fact that your partners, the people in your lives, are other aspects of you? So when you go back to the light, you're going into the oneness that is everything. In some aspects, I'll be more with you, B, once I leave this body than I am right now, because I'll be more in everything.
I see your point. I don't necessarily agree with it, however.
That's cool.
I
You're cool.
my experience was that the things that you actualize, that you actually make part of your light energy, not the things you know about, not the things you've heard, not any of the human attachments to that, all of that goes away in the end, before you get recycled, before you come back, and you come back as this fresh slate. Like, you don't remember. You might have glimpses. Some people have glimpses of who they were in the previous mode, but most of the time people don't have any idea who they were. They're not starting like knowing all those things that they knew and they actualized, but all of those are seeds that are now living in their light body. And when those things have been activated to a degree that they're part of you now in the past, you get little opportunities to wake those things up. And those wake up early and sooner than if you're acquiring those along the road. So one of the other ways I use my time now is kind of understanding that there's nothing that's scary about dying now.
Yes, agreed.
Maybe ways of dying, but the actual dying itself is not like fearful.
Yeah.
And you can focus on acquiring world stuff, but I'm finding stuff to put in my light, and all the goodies I really want to take with me and come back with, and all the stuff. Like, I'd love to. I've had 50 years of practice of like different initiations and learning and teachers, and man, it's been a thrilling, rich, joyous ride, and super grateful for that. And
Yeah.
I would love to start, man, popping out of the womb with all of that crackling and ready to wake up. Where could you go next time? It's like, it's a fun thing to contemplate.
Let's hear what Julie has to say. She said she wants to give an example of something that that you take with you.
Wait, well, Jilly, come on. Something that you take with you is your ability that, like, you wake up your clairvoyant abilities, and all of a sudden you're not just seeing with your eyes, but you're seeing with your third eye. It's like I have two eyes to see, or two eyes to look and one eyes to see, and being able to actually move your frequency perception to an area where you can actually perceive with your, you're seeing people's auras, you're seeing the energy fields around, you can stand in the grocery store and in the fluorescent lights and see people's light, that tells you truth without any speaking, and the whole host. I mean, there's so many of those abilities that, any of those that you wake up, the thing that we're working on, the whole projective energy and moving objects with your energy, once you crack that and you make that part of your life, that's not something that goes away. That's now part of the texture of your light body because you've used that so many times. We don't use our light bodies very often. We use our bodies, and our light body helps and provides energy, but we're not very consciously, often at least, consciously using our energy, like we use our hands. It's not hocus pocus and like all this crazy, oh, that's just really magic. And, like the devil and spirits. And like, you think something outside you needs that. That spark of our life is a part of the divine source itself, and God, man, that connection, like, takes you to places that is, beyond. Sorry, Jilly, I hope I answered your question with that. There, any of the magical stuff, any of the spiritual stuff, any of your connection to your spiritual connections, especially the source, all of those things become part of your texture. And then that radiates out from you as you're living this life too, man. You're, focusing on collecting stuff for the next time around elevates everything you're doing in this lifetime right now too. So that's kind of motivating through the AI thing. I'm an old guy. I'm an ancient old guy, so I don't know how I would act if I was 18 and looking at the future of the world. It's kind of a crazy place.
Mm-hmm. So I like what you were saying about this reincarnation, the recycling thing, right? I think that, or I know that from the human perspective, there's the past, present, and future. And then from the light's perspective, it's just all now.
Yeah, there's no time in the light.
Yeah.
No time in the light at all. Yeah.
It's not a past life then. It's a life that you're connecting to right now, if you want to, if you remember that, like you said.
Well, it's a past life in the physical world.
And it's occurring now.
That's true. It's still part of your texture, but not that many people are aware of that in this now. You can go back and do things to go become aware of that. I certainly have. And having those understandings of
we're doing it now.
Huh?
We're doing it now. You and me are just time travelers, and everyone here, we're all just time travelers. We've already experienced this and other futures, the year 23, 20, whatever. And we came back to this moment in this now to have this collective awakening together and this experience because we knew that it was so much the juice is worth the squeeze, or the squeeze is worth the juice. We wanted to be here right now. We choose to be here now because this is the best party going on the planet or in the universe and the multiverse.
That's so true. That is so true. So, I brought up, AI and like kind of not a doom and gloom so much, but just the kind of the negative aspects of that. But I'd love to bring up something that has just thrilled me and got me over the edge. When I started my magical learning, science and magic were like on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And what I am just so happy to be alive and living in this time right now is seeing science and physics and magic and all those things coming together in this really freaking amazing way. And the only reason people aren't taking auras seriously right now is nobody's actually developed a machine that could actually measure it and show it. That's how science has progressed over the century. Like Oh wow, that's a virus, you know, and microscopes and electron microscopes and MRIs. Now we're taking apart the body on a cellular level, gene splicing, you know, and like each new development has been pretty
withheld.
pretty amazing. But
Mm.
one of the things that's like really thrilling me right now, and this is crazy. I don't know if you have watched this show called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Have you heard of
Heard
this?
about it. I've heard about it. I haven't
Well,
watched it.
dude,
No.
you should dig in, man.
Okay.
Your mind would dig this on such a huge level. And
Okay.
what the show is about is there's this area in Utah and a specific big ranch called Skinwalker Ranch,
Yeah.
and it has been like it has been a source of paranormal phenomena
Yes.
for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So this one family had it. They couldn't live on it. Like skinwalkers actually show up, which are kind of crazy beings. And
Yeah.
long story short, a billionaire in the aerospace industry and defense industry guy named Robert Bigelow bought the property and started doing massive scientific investigations into it. That went on for several years, and all of a sudden it got closed down, and all of that information got classified. Okay, so jet to now, and this is about 4 or 5 years ago. This guy named Brandon Fogel, he's a big Las Vegas real estate billionaire who had a UFO experience when he was a kid and bought the ranch and like dumped buku cash into like the most sophisticated equipment. He hired this guy named Travis, who's a big astrophysicist and renowned kind of expert going and figuring out things that nobody can figure out. He goes in, does all these tests, comes up with solutions. And he came on a few seasons ago with kind of a skeptical like attitude about it. Well, as it turns out, like there's this place in this mesa where they're defining portals, and like a bunch of cattle mutilations have gone on there, and the UAP phenomena is just over the top, and the stuff that is happening with energy that is being defined. Like they had a rabbi come on, I think it was in season 2, and he was going to go to this one place that was highly charged, and they set up a whole bunch of equipment, thermo stuff and sound stuff and heat stuff and all kinds of different ways to register this.
Yeah.
And he started chanting a specific incantation to open a portal,
Okay.
the spiritual world.
Yeah.
And you're watching the heat, the thermal like camera where he's doing this, and this was expected. Where the center of this was, you could see it all of a sudden go from hot to like really cold in this circle, like, and there's so many tangible crazy things that are happening right now, and I think it's about to kind of bust open in a big way. I think they're on to some pretty huge discoveries. So anyway, didn't mean to get off on that round.
No, that's cool.
But that's one of the examples of like all of that stuff would have been considered magic. And they're doing things like shooting high beat. Like there's this spot about 1,000 feet over this particular place on the ranch, and it like creates all kinds of anomalies, like equipment stops working. And they got this one experiment where they got these super high powered laser beams and shined it up at exactly that spot. And the laser beams stopped and the end of the laser beam split. Like nobody could figure out what the hell that was even about, you know?
Cool.
So, anyway, scope it out. Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, cool.
I never promote shows, but I think you would really dig it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. You know, so I'll take it to NFTs for a second. So where I landed recently, because I also saw a lot of that scamming environment inside
it's ugly.
inside of crypto and NFTs and stuff. But what happened is there's a site called Magic Eden, okay, and they let you put NFTs up now, donation based. So it might not be for like the huge drawing, your favorite ones or whatever it is, but more the style of like your cards, your tarot cards. Like imagine if you took your tarot cards, right? And each one was an NFT. And then
I thought about doing
you
that.
know what I mean? And then people could go and they could get it donation based. So everyone in the community, right? Like, I mean, I wish I had 1.6 ETH right now. I'd be there, right? But
That was because that was actually I fell for the scam.
okay.
Somebody sent me a message on Facebook. It was a really like well-written little thing. Hey,
Yeah.
really, I've been watching your stuff for a long time. I really love your stuff. Here, I really want to have 4 of your pieces. Here are the pieces. I'll pay you $6,000 a piece for them.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything minted yet, and I got all the stuff
cool.
minted and like loaded up, and that was based on what they had told me, right?
That's cool. So it was like
Well,
the
hold on.
catalyst.
No, it wasn't the because I sent her the link to those things, and she goes, "Oh well, I don't buy on OpenSea. I only buy on this website."
Oh yeah.
Website when I had my friend Brandon go to it, man, it was completely bogus. They wanted
Got
your
it.
passwords to all your wallets and all that.
Got it.
So anyway, we just didn't take them down,
Let's look at the good part though. It got you to get your art up there as an NFT, right?
Absolutely.
So that is cool.
I'm not bemoaning it.
And like,
yeah.
I mean, I would have on my phone your artwork. I'd have it so I could see it every day, and it's just an idea. It's the idea that where we're going is including everybody. We're going to this place where we include everyone. Nobody's excluded, and so Magic Eden, they've got a way now you can put your NFTs up, donation based. And I mean, you could even do it like with a small dollar amount, but why not do it donation based? Because what I found with donation based is sometimes people show up and they do the minimum, that they feel it's worthy in that moment. But you never know when somebody might show up and you might get more than even what you have those up for. You never know. That's available out there because the right person sees it, and it's that electronic world where sort of anything can happen.
That's true. That's very, very, very true. And to be honest with you, Brandon and I were considering putting them up as you can do a make an offer scenario.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, might do that.
Because then what else you could do is if you wanted to, you don't have to do anything like that.
But the truth of the matter is, like doing it like that, it like costs $100-something to like get one of those minted.
On Ethereum is like that. But if you were to do it on Solana, it wouldn't cost that. Or if you were to do it on there, different ways you could do it. You could put it up, and it wouldn't cost that. It's pretty. The more you get into it, the more you start to see. And then what you could do is, for example, I'm talking to somebody who lives in Puerto Rico right now. He's got a 6,000 square foot place. He's catching rain. He's using solar energy. He's living off the grid, and he wants to host people there, So it's like if it was donation based, or even if you had a minimum, it would be okay, do it however you want to. But I was thinking I could put up these tickets, if you will, like a ticket. You go and you buy the NFT, you get the art, and it's a ticket to an experience in Puerto Rico or wherever we all want to go.
Well, that's a cool idea, man. Yeah,
it's all for fun, though. Like I said, it's all happening all at once. So it's just whatever experience that you want to have. And if you want to have the experience of having your work out there and believing and having it go to the people who appreciate it the most, that's what I want. I want my medicine, quote unquote, to go where it's most wanted. And it's more important to me than any dollar amount or anything. And the other thing I found is everyone that shows up, they all offer me, or a lot of times I get offered places to stay in different parts of the world. Now we're doing podcasting. We're uploading a podcast like a Buzzsprout, which goes to all the podcasting places. Now there's people in every single country around the world that are tuning into it, and it. Dude, I know
that's awesome.
I know it's an illusion. Like the one is the all and the all is the one. So
it's all an illusion, man.
Yeah,
It really is. It's all a big simulation, man.
Yeah.
Well, however
And
you want to
it's cool.
program it.
It's cool to think that if you have something that's more on the front edge, the leading edge of the wave, the leading edge of the thought form, and you can give it to people, and that little light lights something in them, and then they go and they do something cool and give themselves permission to do something they wouldn't let themselves do either otherwise, or they get out of fear, just like how you're out of fear of death, right? So that eliminates all the fear. If fear is an agreement, false evidence appearing real, you don't agree with it. Well, I'm on that level too, but other people in their lives, they might say that, but then they're like, oh, but I shouldn't buy this today. Oh, but I shouldn't do that. Or oh, and they've got these little fears in there. And so if I'm a permission slip for anyone to just release the beliefs that hold those fear, then that's my highest excitement.
Yeah, we'll have to talk sometime. I have a whole little speech and seminar that's just about fuck fear. Yeah, I go out and do it in drag, man. I started off like, hey, listen, if I can come out here like this, and I'm definitely fucking my own fear. So let's all do a primal scream. Ah!
Well, I would say the opposite. I would say bless fear, because fear is that thing that made you feel trapped, and you wouldn't be able to go out there and drag and feel so free if at some point in your life you hadn't felt a little bit of fear, you know? So thanks for the fear, because now I feel so free. Because
yeah, but it was Son telling it to fuck off. I gotta tell you, man, there's no part of me that wasn't just raucously satisfied to say, eat it, man.
And
you can't have me anymore. You can't have any of my energy. You can't have any of my joy. You can't get in the middle of me grabbing the opportunities that I have. No, fuck you.
I'm in this thing where it's like, if I'm willing to feel the fear now. If there's fear, let's say I wanted to buy something and I'm like, oh, but the money, I'm human. I'm here on the planet too. And I'm like, oh, but I have this amount and that's going to cost half of what I have, for example, right? That's a normal thing that I think we all have on the planet, right? So, and then I'm like, so I don't buy it, let's say, in this example. Oh, and I rationalize it away. No, well, tomorrow I'll have more money, or the next day or next week I'll get it whenever, what, you know. But instead, like, welcome that fear in and exacerbate it and make it even bigger and blow up the fear so that I'm really tuning into what the fear wants to show me. And from that place, I can laugh at it and buy the shoes or whatever the thing was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like, fear does not get any more control. You know, the thing about fear is that it is the master chameleon.
Right.
You know, it disguises itself as anger and all kinds of other stuff, you know?
Yes.
You know, it's like you see this angry outburst. Well, why did that happen? If you start really taking that whole process apart, it's because you were scared shitless that you were going to lose or whatever, or the argument or whatever. It all, you know, so that was just and continues to be just a really profound exploration, because the roots of that of fear go out in so many different directions, and little things that pop up and you think it's all this other stuff, but that's the whole like nut of where it began, you know. So that's kind of where my focus has been right now, is getting out the astral weed killer.
I love it.
Yeah, with all the roots, man.
I don't think fear goes away though. I think fear is it. If you can invite it in and sit with it, it will stop coming around, because there's nothing here for it to feed on anymore. It's like you're not giving it anything, you know. But if you want to push it away and ignore it, then it will get bigger and louder, right? So the real way,
if it doesn't matter, then there you go.
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't want it to get louder though, if instead you invite it in, you're like, oh, fear, come on in, let's have a cup of tea together, let's talk, you know, let's get known. Then fear will leave. Fear equals adrenaline, excitement, same feeling. It's how you define it. Yeah, it can be like that. Yeah. And it's also giving you information though. There's information in the fear that if you can get the information from it, it'll go away and you'll move on to your next thing. But if you ignore it and you just say, okay, I'm not going to label it as fear, I'm going to label it as excitement, or I'm going to pretend that it's not here, then it will get bigger.
Well, if you pretend it's not there, it isn't. But if it really isn't and you don't care, then it's not. And then you don't need that conversation.
I'm just saying that it can show you something. It's not here to, it's love. Fear is actually love. If we redefine it, then we don't need to ignore it, because ignoring things is like saying that those bad things aren't happening. We're not saying that. Those bad things are happening. We're just saying we're choosing to have this other experience over here.
Well, there you go.
That's cool, man. There's no one I'd rather disagree with than you.
Well, listen, man, I can't believe it, but we've run through our whole hour. I
Cool.
can't believe it. And
Thank you.
I enjoy my conversations with you so much, man. I just
Same.
light's been coming out of my eyes all night, just going, wow, this is really super fun, man. I love watching where your brain goes, and your forward thinking is very inspirational, and I love considering everything that you put out tonight, man. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing. And Jilly, as always, the warrior.
Yes. Thank you, Jilly. Thank you,
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, you guys want to meet in the real life in Puerto Rico or somewhere? Where
That's
you
a
wanna go?
possibility. I have a friend that has this place in Miami called Moksha Arts Collective.
Okay.
And he has, within the last few years, purchased a big piece of land in the mountains in Puerto Rico and turning it into a spiritual retreat. So maybe
Cool.
it could be a combo kind of
Yes.
with that. So let's see what happens, man. And let's have a conversation, you and I,
Fun.
next couple days. A couple
Okay.
days. Love to.
I'm around tomorrow specifically. I've got a lot of free time.
All right, awesome. I'll give you a yell, man.
Okay.
Thanks again for being here, man, and thanks for everybody
Thank you, man.
showing up. And we'll see you next time. And Angel Channel Monday.